Hey guys, my name is Julian Jemison. I'm an average language learner, and today I'm going to tell you how I became fluent in French with just this one thing. Now, to illustrate this, I'm going to tell you about my own history. It will be just a few minutes, but I think from my own experience, you will kind of see the struggles, the light at the end of the tunnel, and the experience that I feel like you guys could have, whether you're abroad in France or whether you're here at home. So for me, it took, I started French in my university in undergrad. I remember I wanted to be different. I was like, I don't want to learn Spanish. Everyone knows Spanish. Everyone speaks Spanish. I want to be different. And I think French is a really cool language. It's a cool language. It sounds cool, so I want to do it. So for 2 years in my university in the United States, I didn't know anything. I was in the classes. I got good grades. I got good marks. But I really didn't know how to speak the language. If someone asked me, hey, how do you say this and this? I want to know. All I knew how to say was bonjour, ça va, and quoi de neuf, which means what's up. So my professor, she saw this, she saw my potential, and she saw, she always encouraged people, hey, you should study abroad. The first few times she told me, I was like, hey, why would I study abroad? If I'm not learning it here, how would I learn it over there? It'll make no difference. But she kind of convinced me. She said, hey, just go. There's people that has been, had a worse level than you. Just go there. You're gonna learn it. You'll definitely come back with some type of fluency, or at least some conversational level French. So I did it. I took the plunge. I went to France. Never being there, never, again, not knowing as a lot of French as I could. I took a placement test. I tried to smudge my way a little up. I was supposed to be an A1, and I didn't want to be an A1 because of my ego. I was like, I can't be an A1. I know French, even though I really didn't. And I remember taking the placement test and memorizing some words before I took the placement test. And I think the professor there in France saw that I was, I had that ambition. She saw, that, I wanted to really challenge myself, and she put me in the A2 class. Let me tell you, the first few weeks, it was rough. I was trying to learn the language. I felt like I didn't learn anything. I was, trying to connect with the people there, the other students there, and I felt a little bit ashamed because some of the other Americans there, their level for me at the time was amazing. They had some other background in Spanish or some other Latin language, or they just were good at learning French in the United States, which I wasn't. The one thing I did have though was I was an extrovert. I love to meet people. I love to go out. I love to explore, try new things, and push myself out of my comfort zone. I didn't want to stay in a sort of a bubble and stay with the same Americans and stay like that. I wanted to push myself out. So the first 3 months, what I did is I hung out with a lot of French people. I made some French friends. Luckily, their English was, decent enough where I could, if I made a mistake or if I needed to ask a question in English, they would answer me right away. And it was a good mix. They had some people that spoke English pretty well, and then some people that didn't. And I had to kind of adapt. So those first few weeks were really rough, but by the end of month 3 of my year abroad in France, everything started to make sense. I remember coming back home for winter break, and I came back to Chicago for 2 weeks, and I remember I was like, man, I can't wait to go back to France. Everything started making sense to me. My family was asking me, hey, how was your update? And I remember when I first went to France, I was so scared. I was like, if I go there and I don't learn anything, I come back, I'm a failure, right? But I came back, I was like, hey, things are starting to click. I think I know what to do. I was able to say really minimal stuff, but things were starting to click. Things were kind of formulating in my head. I was like, okay, this means this means that. Je veux, I won, je perdu, I lost. So I went back with this newfound confidence, began to hang out with more people, began to do stuff. And eventually I became fluent. Now this journey was not easy. Again, the first few weeks were rough. I started getting the hang of it. But you have to remember, even if you start understanding the language a little more and you can have one-on-one conversations, when you're in groups of people, when they're talking super quick, when they're using a lot of slang and a lot of other local little dialects that you don't really know, you really feel left out. And I did feel left out. I felt frustrated. Sometimes I was like, man, I don't even want to hang out with these French people today because, I'm going to go out there, they're going to update me about what they're saying, but I'm still going to feel like I'm not enough or I could do better. And I'm always the type of person that's really hard on myself. And, I really didn't want to go out anymore. I didn't want to hang out. And some days I did take breaks. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna, I just need to watch something in English or just talk to one of my friends in English to get away from this. But I stuck with it. I kept pushing, and I became fluent. So I'm saying all this to say, the journey is not going to be easy. Immersion is the key. It's the easiest path to go, but the journey itself is going to be hard. I know that sounds really, really weird, but at the end of the road, you'll be fluent, or you'll be at least conversational. But getting there is going to be a little bumpy, but it's the easiest path. I know that a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, man, maybe I can't go, or maybe I can't do this. But I'm telling you, take that leap, take the plunge, stay dedicated. Try to immerse yourself as much as you can. Try to talk to people. If you're not really an extrovert, try to get that one friend you could talk to. Or if you're not really an extrovert and you're there by yourself, listen to the radio, listen to the news when you go out. Try to memorize how to order something in, something at the cafe or something like that. Memorize it, go to the cafe, use it, you'll gain confidence. I remember that's what I did too. I talked to some people. I even used Google Translate. I was like, here, let me see if I could say this at the store when I go there. I'll memorize the word, go to the store, say it. They seemed like they understood me. They gave me what I needed. I felt confident. I was like, okay, great. Let me try to use this on someone else. And I felt confident. I was like, great, I know this. I got this down. And you guys could do the same thing. If you guys cannot go to France or any Francophone country and you're staying here, immersion is still the best way, I feel like, for you to kind of get your foot in the door. You're gonna have to do other stuff. You're gonna have to learn grammar and stuff like that. But if you really want to get your brain to kind of start understanding it, be comfortable with the sound, the nuances, the pronunciation of French, immersing yourself here in the United States is totally possible. For example, I went to France. I became fluent. I came back. I was here for a few months or whatever the case. I had French classes, but after college, there was times where I didn't speak French for maybe a few weeks. But I knew I had a trip planned to France, or I knew I was going to go to a French conference or like a language table or whatever the case needs to be. So I would just push myself every day. I would listen to podcasts in French when I'm driving to work. I'll come home and watch a French show for 30 minutes. I'll do little stuff to kind of get my brain reacclimated to the language, to kind of warm itself up. So when I go to France, I'll be kind of in the same scenario. And the other thing about this, when you immerse yourself, your brain is exposed to that language constantly. And your brain is going to try to adapt, because you need to know the language that you're in or whatever country you're in to be safe, to be able to eat, to be able to make sure you're not in danger, to be able to make friends, to be able to live. You need to adapt, and your brain is going to eventually do that. If you're surrounded by it, you keep hearing the same things over and over again, your brain is going to start making references to things. You're going to be like, okay, he said this means this. Hey, I've seen this sign before. I remember translating it before. That means that's a dead end, or there's danger here. Your brain is going to adapt itself and make you a better person. I have no regrets doing this immersion. Some people may say, hey, why did you do French? In the United States, there's not a lot of French people or whatever the case. Well, here in the United States, I feel like French opened the door for me for other languages. Learning French, I was able to understand Spanish better. I was able to understand Italian better. Right now I'm learning Ukrainian, and my background in French helped me recognize that this is the same kind of language journey that I've already done. I already experienced this, I already had success in it. So my brain started to capture all the same methods I did before. So it's easier for me to read something in Ukrainian, if I was learning it, and be like, hey, this word means this, and it'll get locked in my brain. French is a very beneficial language. It's a really good door language. It's easier than most languages. There's a lot of similarities with French and English, and that will help you a lot. It's a really good language for you to kind of immerse yourself in. It's a fun language. You sound cool talking to it. You'll be in a different community. Your way of thinking will change. My way of thinking changed when I learned French. I view the world differently now. I made new friends that I would never have made before. I could go places I would never want to go before because of that language burden. And it's just pretty cool saying, hey, I speak French. And people saying, wow, you really do? And then you go out there and say something in French, and then they impress me more. I'm just not saying it like I did when I was at university, and I didn't really know anything, but I wanted to be cool. I could say it and then back it up. I know you guys hear this so many times before about, hey, learn, immersion is the key, immersion is the key. But if you really have the chance to go to France or a Francophone speaking country, or even have another language, always immerse yourself. and you can immerse yourself in the country, which is great. And if you can't go to the country right now, you can immerse yourself here in the United States. You can find different communities. You can find language tables where you go and speak with different other people that are learning the language. You could go and meet and talk and figure out how to be better in whatever language they are. There's so many different avenues for you guys. I would just encourage you to just do it. It's beneficial, it's great, and you'll feel really great about yourself, about the network that you make. So if you guys liked the video, thank you. Leave comments if you have any questions for me. I can answer the best I can if you guys are looking for places in France to go or whatever the case. I'm currently in Chicago, but I've been mostly all over France. I know a lot of people there. Open to all of you guys' comments and suggestions. And if you guys want another video with me speaking French or my other journey in other areas, feel free. I'll be fine making a video in France about how I speak in French after being in the United States for 5 years. I think that's pretty cool. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you guys on the next video.